Pope's Final Message, a novella by P.J. Gott and Logan Light. Chapter 2, The Trojan Horse of Babylon. Babylon, 538 BCE. They're stubborn, Cassandra, Cyrus muttered as he paced the marble floor of the palace. The Judeans cling to their one God, Yahweh, merciless and male. Their priests won't bend, won't budge. Cassandra patted her husband's shoulder with a comforting hand. They worship a God shaped in their own likeness, she said, and that likeness leaves no room for the sacred feminine. I can't force them to worship our gods, Cyrus sighed, but I also can't let them fracture our empire with their rigidity and ridiculous superstitions. Cassandra's eyes sparkled. I've been thinking about that, and I have an idea. She gestured for him to sit. Give them a gift, one that seems to be theirs, but carries within it a deeper truth. The Egyptians have perfected a form of writing that speaks in layers, a text that can carry two meanings, two stories, one visible for them, one requiring hidden knowledge to uncover. That will be ours. A Trojan horse, Cyrus murmured. Exactly. A message that walks through the gates of dogma, carrying the seed of transformation. Explain, he said, stretching his legs and reclining. Take your time. She was excited. We'll craft a text that honors their traditions on the surface, but beneath it whispers stories of the sacred balance, male and female, justice and compassion. If we can learn the Egyptians' method, we can write one version that satisfies their rigid patriarchal doctrines, and another, a hidden one, waiting for eyes trained to see and hearts ready to remember, a message that reveals itself only to readers who hold the key. Always skeptical, he said, I see a problem, my dear. How shall we acquire it? She smiled, her voice resolute. I will travel to the ends of your empire. I will gather the stories of goddesses and gods, of beings said to have come to earth from Venus and Mars, of mysteries hidden in plain sight. Then I will go to Alexandria, where the temple scribes have mastered the dual methods, how a single stream of consonants can yield multiple meanings through the strategic use of vowels, spaces, and punctuation. With their help, I will weave all known teachings, including the oral traditions of the Judeans, Israelites, and Essenes, into one sacred text layered with truth and revelation. When I return to Babylon, we will give the Judeans their sacred texts, and the Essene Nazarenes will be taught to decode the hidden clues that yield the veiled layers that speak not only of God, but of Goddess. Cassandra, cursed like her mythic namesake to never be believed, like all women whose truth threatens power, became Pythia, the oracle. But she feared the world would remain deaf to a woman. Additionally, Cyrus was concerned about the unique dangers women travelers faced, even when escorted by soldiers. So she cloaked herself in a new identity, Pythagoras. A man's name would carry her message through centuries of male dominance. Her truth would wait, preserved beneath his name, until the world was ready to receive it. The Magi of Chaldea, whose sacred observatories dotted the southern reaches of Babylonia, were already deeply entwined with the spiritual life of Babylon. In preparation for her journey, she invited them to gather at the city's edge to offer their wisdom. They saw her not as a stranger, but as one foretold. In a quiet ritual beneath the stars, they bid her farewell, not with sadness, but with solemn reverence. They entrusted her with their most guarded knowledge, the celestial harmonies and number mysteries that underpinned the structure of the cosmos. In these numbers, one magus whispered, you will find the breath of the divine. With their guidance, she learned to read the stars as scripture, to see in number the echo of divine order. Wisdom she would carry to Alexandria for the final weaving of the Torah. She traveled first to Mount Carmel, where Nazarene priestesses shared their knowledge of healing herbs and spices. They told her the story passed down through generations of Elijah's massacre of their ancestors. What Judeans claimed was a miracle, the Nazarenes exposed as trickery. The water Elijah poured into a trench around the altar ignited when he sprinkled in quicklime and sulfur. The fire that burst forth was not a miracle, but a chemical reaction, knowledge held by kings but withheld from their subjects. The few Nazarenes who survived had run for their lives and hidden in caves, and the cost was the near extinction of Essene Nazarenes. From there she traveled to Phoenicia, where she was initiated into the rites of Sidon and Tyre, and heard the sea-bound hymns of Astarte and El. In Crete, she studied law and the ancient customs of the Earth Mother, learning how justice and mercy had once been balanced in temple and court alike. And finally to Egypt, where the temple scribes taught her the dual method script and inducted her into the mysteries of Isis and Thoth. After 22 years of travels and study, carrying the wisdom of priestesses, sages, and scribes she encountered, she returned to Babylon with a unified text layered with encoded teachings and mirrored truths. She watched from a distance as Cyrus presented the Torah scroll to the Judean high priest. With quiet reverence, she whispered a blessing. May you one day come to see that the compassion of the El and Elohim surpasses the fury of Yahweh's retribution. Peace be upon you. Generations later, the text she helped encode was entrusted to a man named Ezra, who delivered it to Jerusalem. There, two high priests were appointed, one for the Judeans and one for the Essene Nazarenes. Two Torahs, hidden in one. This concludes chapter 2. Join us next week for chapter 3, the Pact of Disguise.